Hi, good night, and welcome to another episode of the Dugout Podcast. I'm Andrew, and tonight we're joined by Kwame Paris. Kwame, welcome to the show. A pleasure having you. It's been a long time coming.
Thanks for inviting me to the show, man. It's a great opportunity for me to regain some level of humility because even though you go to a certain level, you still need these kind of outings to remind yourself where you came from and where you got to the end.
True. So having said that, I'm sure our viewers might not be aware of, where you started and where you've gone to. So just tell us a little bit about yourself.
I'm a commentator / analyst. But what would have taken me into my journey would have been a couple of shows I did with a friend of mine called Ali Young. Where it started with being scientists really with the interview different sporting personalities around Barbados. And then he came up with the idea with a friend of his named Reece to start this football show called Football Rants. And we did that for quite a while. Me being the co-host and supporting Chelsea, Mike being in Manchester and the fun. And we got some good mileage over that. From there, Paul Clark at Trading 10 would have invited me to do some football commentary with their broadcast of the Barbados Football Association Premier League and by extension as well the school league. So I would have done quite a number of finals during that time. We would have done the 2019 school final as a commentator. So then the 2019 Capelli Cup final and semi-final. We would have done the 2022 Republic Cup final as an analyst. The 2023 Champions Cup final as an analyst again. And also the CAF Caribbean Shield Tournament St. Kitts. But I commentated remotely from Barbados. We have done 11 games in that tournament, including the third place playoff. We have done some cricket commentary, and we have done the Asia Cup final that was played in Michigan, Denver. And this year as well was also nominated as a finalist in the National Youth Awards in the Conrad Hunt category.
So, as you can see, the accolades are, a lot of experience and know your stuff, right? So again, thank you for being on the show to, grace us with your expertise. Now, a lot has happened since we came up with this agenda. I would have reached out to you on Friday with the agenda, and we all know that, a big breaking situation occurred that means that we had to do a bit of a reshuffle in terms of where we should start. So there's no better place to start than at Old Trafford. Funny enough, the original topic for this segment was Man U played Chelsea at the weekend, and where was your assessment of Chelsea's season so far, and also if you're surprised that there hasn't been a managerial change at United, considering their start to their season. But before we could get there, Ten Hag was sacked, right? Lost his job after the 2-1 defeat to West Ham. So, what are your thoughts on his dismissal?
It's not surprising. I think for Ten Hag, I think it's a blessing really, because the regime he was trying to create and the lack of success he was getting from it. I think it was telling on him and not only his team's performance, but I think it's starting to tell on him in terms of how difficult the English media could be facing a storm of basically the same questions or people flooding you with the same repetitive nonsense. And with the caliber or the stature of the team, there's still this belief that Manchester United should be winning, even though it's more than half a decade that they haven't been winning. Right? So I don't think he has anything really to lose. I think he still has a lot to gain because at the end of the day, his stock is still high in Dutch football. Having done well at Ajax, he could easily be the next national team coach. when Koeman goes. So I still think he would get decent offers in Europe. I mean, he's won the FA Cup final. He's also won the EFL Cup.
Mm-hmm.
He's lost in the finals to Manchester City. He's beaten Pep as well. He's lost the Charity Shield final at the beginning of the season. So he's gotten the team to finals. He hasn't done well in the league. Third place finish, 8th place finish, and a poor start to this campaign. But I think you can look at it as a team not playing well, but to me, they created enough chances that they could have done better so far at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, I mean, you have been very complimentary. You know, yeah, diplomatic is a better word, or complimentary to Ten Hag.
Because I coach too, so I know the pain associated with selecting players and trying to, as I said, once you go that whole regimental way, you have to win.
Right.
So as soon as you're winning, there's a problem there with things because there's a level of humanity to it, so there's some level of flexibility expected between coach and player to allow me to do certain things because it's what I need to do to function.
Mm-hmm.
But then if you allow one person to do what they want, the spill-off effect is everybody gonna want to do what they want to do.
Correct.
So I try to be diplomatic with coaches because the easiest thing to do is to replace the coach.
Fair enough. Yeah. Because it's more difficult to replace, a squad of 23 players. But in terms of my assessment of Ten Hag and his time at United, I mean, I saw this coming. I said it on our last show actually when I discussed it with our previous guests. I felt as though he should have went in the summer, and it's not because I didn't think the performances last season would have been good enough for Man United or good enough for the amount of money that he spent or investment that was put into his squad. But it was more a case of I felt he should have gone because I think if I hire you as a coach and you're employed by me, and publicly it's no secret that you're searching for a manager, I think it's only a matter of time. And I feel like from that moment on, your power, unless, like you said, results really take an upturn for the better, your power at that team is dwindling and just diminishing over a period of time. And the pressure was mounting, and then there were times where he gave some press conferences where he said some utter crap. And it was like, what game were you watching? And I think another issue he had as well, like you said, you mentioned that certain games, the team did create enough chances to score and stuff like that. And there were some tight games because it wasn't a case where they were blown away. Yes, I know they lost comprehensively to Liverpool. They lost comprehensively against Spurs. But there were some games that were tight where they lost at the last minute stoppage time, go over maybe a loss of concentration or a bit of bad luck, the penalty decision against West Ham. But I just felt for the moment that the owners were openly seeking coaches in the summer. It was like, these guys don't believe in you. Ultimately, they stuck with you because they felt they couldn't get someone to replace you at the time.
Sometimes when they're openly backing you too, there's the indication that you're on the rail too.
True.
But you also make a good point there about the spending. When you look at it, none of the players he bought were able to really help the situation in terms of consistent performance or being fit enough to be consistently on the park. So even if he started to see some signs of improvement defensively, then next thing out injured, you got to trade another centre back pairing. We all know poor McGrath was last season, but even though when he started well, then he became injured. So a lot of things can go in his favor with that regards, but I mean, you look at professional football, all teams have injuries. But I think in terms of trying to reshape the team and utilizing the players he would have spent a lot of money on, he wasn't able to do that for whatever reason. Anthony, the one player who could stay fit, he never really performed.
You made a good point though in terms of mentioning some of the players that he fell out with, because again, another thing that would have really tainted his time is the amount of high profile disputes that he had with star players or key personnel at different points. Cristiano Ronaldo, Harry Maguire, who tried to force out Jadon Sancho. It seems like the management part of his time, he didn't really get right. No, I agree with you in terms of, I don't think it's definitely not over for him. He would get another job. I think what he might have to do though is, like you said, he might have to go back to Holland or maybe maybe another European league, but maybe not a really elite club, but go back and try to build back himself again. Similar to what, for example, Unai Emery did when he lost the Arsenal job. And maybe come again. And we'll see if he can be better for the experience. But the rumor mill has already started. Man United are looking at, it seems like they've already reached an agreement with Sporting Lisbon's current manager, Ruben Amorin, to take over. What are your thoughts on Amorin?
Most of my colleagues and fans, they say that a team led by Amorin is usually a well-coached team. Mm-hmm. I know that Antonio Conte would have done well in the Premier League with the 3-4-3 system. I don't know if he has the personnel to incorporate that system, which seems to be his preferred choice. Yeah. I think that's my major takeaway from it. He has some level of experience, though. He's only 39 years of age. Mm-hmm. He's won in Portugal, the league. He's won in Knockout Cup. But another concern, I was doing some background checks on him. He's only been able to get as far as the last 8 Champions League. And to replace a manager now by actually taking your replacement from another club, mm-hmm. I think you want immediate success. They're not that far off the top 4, but I'm thinking you want immediate success, and I guess you want an immediate change of style too, mm-hmm. in your gameplay. I don't know if he's going to be able to implement that as soon as he comes, or he's going to try to gradually do so. But I think he's going to have a challenge on his hand, mm-hmm. With regards to that. Implementing his change of his own ideologies and change of style in this current Man United setup.
Fair point. I haven't seen much of his team split. Mm-hmm. If I'm being completely honest, I really, really haven't. But I've heard, you said good things about him in terms of stuff that I've read, mm-hmm. and other platforms I've listened to. Mm-hmm. They've said that he likes to play a nice, attracting style of football, likes to entertain the fans. All good things. When the news first broke and someone asked me who would I go for if it was the Man United hierarchy in terms of taking over, I said that I felt Man U should target a young and upcoming manager, someone who has a clear philosophy and style of play that they feel that they would like to adopt or have implemented at the club. And it has to be a commitment that we're sticking with this guy for the next 3, 4, 5 seasons if possible. Regardless of if it might mean that we might not see CL for next year or two. You made a very good point in terms of can he implement his style immediately. I don't foresee it, and here's why. That's why I said maybe the change should have been made at the summer, because then you give him manager time to get his own signings and have a bit of coaching. The season's already on the way. There's not a lot of time unless Man U are eliminated from competitions early. There's not a lot of time to really coach and train the players that he does have. So I feel like the good thing about it is when a new manager comes, not have the opportunity to sign players immediately. It means then that the existing squad he can really have a look at and assess and see who he thinks long term can fit in, who he doesn't think has what it takes, and the players that are there can't say, for example, well, this man give me a chance, this man come and that's kind of what Ten Hag did with some players, in that he came in and immediately, like Harry Maguire, he ain't for me, and then you still had to turn back to him at the end, which is borders on a line of embarrassment. So I think this season in terms of top 4 for me, I think is already gone, but I would like to imagine maybe a cup run, build some foundation, get a little bit of solidity, and then you assess the squad, and then maybe from the summer you look at maybe turn over 2 or 3 players incrementally and building again. I think I saw Gary Neville say, for example, that no one thinks that the Man United squad should be in 14th. He thinks that a squad that should be at least top 6 competing. What I would say, right, and I've said it for a while, I think there was a time when Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a manager, and me and your cousin sat down, we looked at the squad of Man United, and we both came to the conclusion that the squad was not a well-constructed squad, put it that way. And if you look at the squad, yeah, there are a lot of expensive names and names that jump out at you. But when you look on the surface in terms of the squad and what's under the initial 5 or 6 that you might consider to be okay players, it's a lot of rubbish. I think the squad is going to take some time to and I would like to imagine that Amorin also on his CV would be that he can improve players as well, because he can take some coaching to improve some of these players, because he can't sell all one thing.
I think I asked myself, can he speak English? Can he communicate with the core squad? I understand that Van Nistelrooy may leave once he's appointed. So
right.
It is how much of his staff or how much of his staff will he be bringing with him? I know he has the Portuguese connection with Dallo and also with Fernandes. I don't know if they will form the core of his team with people that he may be able, if not familiar with, but be able to communicate with, or to speak the same language. But Onana, the strange thing about this here, like last season, you could argue that, or many argue that Onana was culpable for a lot of goals at Manchester, and then they've conceded and a lot of errors in defense causing unwanted pressure. But he's actually been first class since the season started. So I mean, football's such a funny game, right? Like, results can go your way, they may not go your way, and if the players aren't with you, it's like almost the same thing. Like, you could try different players, try different combinations, try different systems. If it's not going for you, it's not going for you. And I think he may find some solace in what he may have won. It might not be as much as he wanted to, but I think it would be best thing to be won for all the parties involved.
This time, how you referring to?
Erik Ten Hag.
Yeah. Okay. Fair. I mean, I agree. I tend to agree. And like I said, I wouldn't go as far. I haven't seen evidence where it would go as far as to say the players down tools and weren't playing for him. But I feel where the downfall ultimately came would have been the coaching, because it seemed to me like they weren't coached well enough. And it was just a case where, for me, I don't want to say they didn't have a plan, but it was like the plan. I wouldn't say that. Well, the identity is a little bit. It was okay. I would agree they didn't have an identity really, but in terms of game plan, I just felt as though they weren't coached well enough to implement the game plan efficiently, and that's where the shortcomings came from.
Remember, I've been diplomatic as a coach because because like from the outside, it's always easy to say, "Man, what is man doing?" Like many times you will see. For example, McGrath might pass the ball in the midfield and then run into midfield and vacate the center back position. Or when the wing back has the ball, there's no one readily available to support. Where are these guys playing this? And this whole concept of inverted wing backs, I see it happening regularly. I don't like it either. But I say that to say football can be played many different ways. I think sometimes because of how one particular team may enjoy a lot of success out of Manchester City.
Yeah.
Everyone seems to think we need to play that brand of football. I mean, it's always possible. My youth may feel it's too slow.
Right.
And if the midfield is supposed to be in your room, when the unfortunate occurrence of Højlund not being fit on regular occasions means that he had to play Rashford through the middle, sometimes Fernandes through the middle. And then when the opportunities come, you not finish. I actually think that had Rashford been firing on all cylinders, Manchester United could be in a better position. Maybe in the relationship he had with Rashford maybe wasn't the best coming on towards the end. But no having a number 9 who can score goals at once he could stay fit would have been an asset. But then he bought she aimed from playing at Bologna in Serie A. He has been able to cut the mustard at Manchester United. So another signing, more spending, no results.
Fair. I mean, you made some valid points. The players the form hasn't been good, and the players haven't been able to sustain a level for a long enough time to build them out of trouble. But I mean, that's what squad is for. And again, I said, as a coach, you're supposed to help the players, regain form and get upturn.
The
So
funny thing is, all coaches have favorites.
Yeah.
Like, looking at Manchester United, can you openly see who are the players he favors?
me, I think I can. I could call a couple. Bruno for sure. I think I do think he liked Martinez. His players, for the most part. I think he,
Masrari.
Masrari, right?
Yeah.
Delit. So his players, but so I guess when it comes to Ten Hag is gone now. So I guess when it comes to Amorin, we will see what he can do. But like I said, I'll be surprised if I think they will improve and come out the table because the squad is good enough too. But the point I'm making when I referenced Gary Neville was that I don't think the squad. I don't think you could say, for example, the squad it should be a top 4 squad, or I think 6 or 7 is about par to me based on what I see from the team. But so I think Amorin, just for me, is just now about assessing and coming up with. I'm sure that the discussions will have been thorough, hopefully, and they have a strategy in place of how they're going to attack and gradually improve the squad and which players they want to keep, which players they want to sell, stuff like that. But moving on, shifting gears a little bit, they do play Chelsea this weekend. The Chelsea fans that I've spoken to so far, one in particular, seems to be getting a bit of trepidation about that. Fearing the new manager bump, so to speak. It does look like, it looks like it could be possible that Amorin will be
In position with it.
maybe, because I think Van Nistelrooy is interim manager. Maybe I think they have a cup game tomorrow. But it looks like things seem to be moving quickly. So it might be a case where Amorin might be there on Sunday, or it could be a case where he takes over after the game on Sunday. But how do you think this managerial change might affect that game coming up on Sunday for Chelsea, from a Chelsea perspective?
Yeah, I concur with you the whole idea the manager bumps, but Chelsea are such a roller coaster team right now in terms of construct and gameplay. Anything is possible right now with Chelsea. We already finished the season last season, change the coach. I didn't favor the appointment of the coach then, and I didn't favor the dismissal of the coach because of the circumstances. Let me bring in Maresca. I don't want to say protege at the back, but he would work on the back Guardiola for the promoted Leicester. They took the job at Chelsea. I see some good things, and I see some things that I don't think he can change because I think there's a need for personnel change. I think we have a very ordinary defense, and I think our first choice of a goalkeeper is not up to Premier League standard. If you want to finish in top 4 and really chart a path towards Europe, and now I mean Sanchez, he might make 1 or 2 good saves in the team, but in terms of consistency, I don't think he's the guy. I wouldn't have gotten rid of Petrovic. I would have kept Petrovic, but Thiago Silva moving on and not replacing him with an experienced defender is showing because I think that Caldwell and Tosin and Fofana and those guys, I don't think they're ready, or I don't think they're elite caliber defenders either. Unfortunately for the game we played against Liverpool, Cucurella was suspended, so Reece James came back. I don't think he was fit to play, but to play, I don't think that ideally manager wanted to start him in that game. But I say all that to say, I don't know that he's going to be well. James playing the full 90 weekend means that more than he's going to start.
Right.
His best position is right back. He can play left back. His best position is right back. But I think Gusto's best position is right back. So it's a toss up between James and Gusto, and James is going to probably get the preference in selection. So I expect Cucurella to play left back. But I think 2 teams, Chelsea slightly better than Manchester United in terms of not only positioning table, but in terms of having a stable 11 now and getting more other players. But I think our midfield too doesn't create enough for me. I mean, you take away Palmer out the equation. I don't think Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez play like guys who've been bought for 100+ million. But I think it could be a close game. I don't expect either team to really outplay. Yeah, I don't expect a lot of chances to be created.
Okay, that's a very, very good assessment, actually. I fancy you guys to win based on. I mean, obviously, if you're looking at performances so far this season, then you guys are favorites. But like you said, I think that there's enough time between now and that game for Nathan to maybe come up with a plan, really organize himself from a defensive standpoint, and try to make it difficult for you guys. I don't think, although they're the home team, I don't think because of what's happening with this managerial change and the uncertainty at this point in time, I don't think the home crowd will necessarily be baying for United to be dominant force at Old Trafford. So, and like you said, I think that there are some selection issues for Maresca who work out. So yeah, I think I could see it being like a game that's built up a lot, but then not necessarily delivering on the excitement that's promised. But there is something I want to ask you. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Maresca did come out and criticize Reece James in terms of the leadership profile. What are your thoughts about that in terms of questioning Reece James's role or role or performance as a captain so far?
I question his. I actually was in favor of selling him as it was possible.
You want others. Yeah.
Not because you don't think he's good enough. He's a good player, but I saw some of the decisions he makes, and the preseason. I was asking myself if he was trying to sabotage the coach, because some of the decisions he made in preseason really baffled me. And to me, it was again the feeling like he's committed to the club and what the club was trying to achieve. But for the coach to say so, it doesn't surprise me. It means that we're thinking similarity. But I think he's a fantastic player. His clearance late in the game probably secured the 3 points for us against Newcastle last weekend. But it's one of those things again. In trying to include James in 11, someone has to lose out, and he didn't really play most of the season last year. I know you know, with the caliber player he is, and being an English-based player too, the English media are going to really make a case for him, start him as well. So as a manager, it's a lot to deal with, not only with the player's performance, but with the brand of the player and how he fits in with his other teammates. But he can got friends in the team that can want he play regardless, that kind of thing. But I ain't surprised that his leadership profile or style or his performances has been questioned.
I mean, it caught me a bit off guard. It's something you don't rarely see. Rarely. Yeah, Marja doing.
I feel
in public eye.
Sunday right cards he's get at key moments in the game. I think it make you question how a man with that experience could even get in.
But again, even when Reece James was appointed as captain, I was a bit surprised because the demeanor struck me as like someone who's very quiet and reserved. But I guess it was like, again, you insert a young captain, kind of like maybe hoping that he develop into the role, and I guess Maresca wants more from him, which I can understand too. But it's a young squad, and I think that I guess the hope is that they stay together for a number of years, as evidenced by the long contracts that you give them, and that they will come together, everybody reach their prime at the same time, and it would be a really, really good team, which I think eventually it does have the potential to be. In terms of Maresca, what he's doing so far, like you said, seems to be a more stable philosophy and style of playing, and there's definitely been some progression. But again, I don't want to lay all at Maresca's door, because we saw some good signs from Pochettino at the back half of last season as well. Because the form was already on the up, or correct. So again, switching focus a bit, coming to the title race of the Premier League. So, but before I do that, so you're saying Chelsea for top 4, and that's it right now. Or do you think you guys are still into the picture as well?
I think we could be. This year is between 4 and 5.
4, 4, and 5. Okay.
Not in there. In terms of the teams that are better than us at the moment, Liverpool, Manchester City, Arsenal.
Mm-hmm.
Tottenham is a bit touch and go,
mm-hmm.
but they could spring a few surprises
mm-hmm.
here and there. But I think that 4 spot could be between Tottenham and Chelsea.
I would also include Villa in our discussion as well, based on where they are.
They have the ability to do so, but what I also watch for is when you get to the Champions League,
mm-hmm.
you know how they set of fixtures to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
You still want to play the best possible team. I don't know that they have the quality to focus on both, and I think that they might have to make that decision
mm-hmm.
by the time January or so comes around. Am I going to try to fight for top 4, or am I going to try to have a run into Europe deep?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I may not select Villa immediately in my top 5,
mm-hmm.
but they're thereabouts too. But I think with the added pressure of trying to perform in Europe and still focus on the Premier League, they may have to make a decision on one of them.
Fair enough. But in terms of the risks,
mm-hmm.
you mentioned 3 teams. You mentioned Liverpool,
mm-hmm.
Arsenal, and Manchester City. We know that Liverpool and Arsenal played out a 2-2 draw
mm-hmm.
at the weekend. And so City are now leading the table again by a point. Right. So my question is, when you look at the title contenders,
mm-hmm.
and I think for me, most people tend to agree that is, I would say, 3 horse race. I know Arsenal already have a 5-point deficit in backup, but still early days when 9 games have gone, a lot of time left in the season. And I think both Liverpool and City will, have their share of up and downs as well.
Mm-hmm.
But who are you making title favorites right now?
Outside of me being a Chelsea fan,
mm-hmm.
I think the team to beat this season is Liverpool.
Oh. Sorry. You have to tell me why here. You have to tell us why.
I think the core. Well, you have the core of the team.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't really changed,
mm-hmm.
right? Make sure youth and experience are in start us settled in quite well. And I think with Rodri
mm-hmm.
out for the rest of the season,
mm-hmm.
De Bruyne also injury concerns.
Correct.
I think those are the main 2
mm-hmm.
players in City that really the football gels around. And
mm-hmm.
Foden hasn't started the season at his best. Who's another one of the main danger men of last season. He's now trying to find his form. So watching City play over the last 2 seasons, Pep is the type of guy that if he can eke out 3 or 4 more back-to-back victories just to keep a streak of wins together, and then because they have a habit of winning at least 10 to 15 games in a row, and that run usually comes heading towards December and licks and stuff in your other team, whoever's in front of it. But I think that I don't see them beating Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see them beating Liverpool head to head.
Right.
But I think that it's still early in the season, but I think that this Premier League is Liverpool's to lose.
Well, I'm happy to hear that.
I'm not trying to boost your ego.
No. Listen, I know that's not what you're trying to do. I'm not accusing you of that, but I'm happy to hear that you've given the Reds the vote of confidence that they could go ahead and do it. In terms of my own assessment, I still think City are the team to beat just because of the know-how. Winning the last 4 straight Premier League says something about you. But I do agree with you that the injury to Rodri and the fitness of De Bruyne could play a role. But I think the difference, or what has been the difference before that you said, is that City's running is normally picture perfect, and for the other teams, the other contenders, Arsenal, Liverpool, that has been difficult to stop, especially once City get in front. So
it's strange though because usually they don't start the season this well either.
correct,
In terms of results.
So yes.
So it's strange, but as you said, 4 consecutive wins is difficult to do. I mean, I don't think they were not good 4 times in a row. I think they had some help at key moments in competition. But
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, on paper, four consecutive titles, you have to beat a winner.
Mm-hmm.
And so I take your point too, where you said that you can't write them off just because the injuries to those 2 key players. But I still think it's Liverpool's season to.
I definitely think Liverpool have a chance, a legitimate chance too, because I think I started the season where everybody was talking about it being a 2-horse race between City and Arsenal. I didn't think that was fair on Liverpool because
I don't think that's fair on Arsenal.
But I didn't think that was fair on Liverpool because Liverpool up until I want to say maybe mid-March, Liverpool or actually no, up until early April, Liverpool were actually in the chase for all 4 trophies that were available to them. And it was only last, I want to say, 4 or 5 games where the title challenge faded away. And I think a part of that was to do with the fact that Liverpool had injuries to key personnel. And when they were coming back, it was a case where it was a high-pressure situation, had to hit the ground running. And players were struggling a bit to get the rhythm back immediately when they got back in the starting 11. Such as
the game in Doku.
In Doku jump kick McAllister.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that game changed.
Yes, because we should have won that game.
That changed the complexion.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, there were mitigating factors, but I say that to say this. I think it was unfair on Liverpool because people were acting as if Liverpool weren't in conversation for most of the season, and they were. So and like you said, the squad hasn't changed, so there's still a legitimate challenger. I think it was just a matter of whether or not how well will Arne Slot do once he got in the door. And like, he seems very measured. He seems very calm about it. That could help. And
he's been able to rotate the squad fantastically well.
And he doesn't use many players in the squad, but he's like a nice little nucleus of a group that he likes to work with. And I think once Liverpool has a lot of injuries, and like you said, don't lose the head-to-heads, for example, I think Liverpool definitely have a chance to come out on top. In terms of Arsenal, though, and you said you don't take this fair to Arsenal, because I made a point actually to your relative. I said that having gone runner-up twice, and I know you didn't win the league title, but you haven't won anything at all in terms of a trophy. So I mean that could be like a little bit of a setback mentally, psychologically. And I'm wondering if, because they've had a lot of challenges this year in terms of drop points already, it's early, but a 5-point deficit could be crucial. Do you think that they're suffering from a bit of a drop-off after 2 good seasons in a row?
The team is well coached. I think psychologically, City had the edge over them. They can beat them, but they've gotten to a point where City aren't beating them either.
Right.
But I think to go to that next level, they actually have to beat City at least once. And they came close recently, and in the embers of the game, John Stones. I think that was a controversial play too. I mean,
I remember the goal, but I try to remember the play.
The pundits are saying not, but I think for anything, Bernardo Silva. No, sorry, that's the Wolves game.
That's the Wolves game. Yeah.
So they haven't played. I don't think they've played head-to-head yet, right?
They played. Yeah, they drew 1-1. John Stones did score a late equalizer.
Right. I confused them.
I think that was a game where Trossard got sent off and kicking the ball away.
Yes. I think that game, if Wolves had gotten the points from that game, I think that would have been a major setback for City. Having said that, talking about Arsenal, I think Arsenal losing not losing points early in the season from games that they could have possibly won will hurt them going forward. But I still think it's a good enough team with Saka back in the mix. Arsenal. I think Arsenal could be the best to replace team. I was thinking that this season they could have really challenged. I mean, there's a lot of football still left to be played. It has a different feel to me this season than the other two seasons. In the second season, in going right to the end, challenging City, they proved that City can beat them head to head, but they didn't prove that they could beat City head to head. And they think that they need to beat City at least once to get that self-belief within the camp,
right?
That they could go the extra mile. I don't think that Arsenal. I think that they view that as their greatest test. Yes, they come up against Chelsea, which is a derby. They are Liverpool, Manchester United, but somehow they managed to find a way to play against those teams. Like with the challenges they had, injuries and suspensions, they were able to get a point against you. I think that was a highly commendable performance. But they seem to lack that final piece to beat City, and I think psychologically it has cost them the title in 2 consecutive seasons. They're getting closer though.
Yeah, they are. I'm just wondering if there's going to be a drop off this year, but I could be wrong. I when I say drop off, it's not. I'm thinking that they're going to become a bad team overnight, right? That I just feel as if something about them this year doesn't seem right. And I think it's more to me about how they're managing games so far. It seems like they're not in full control of their emotions. Hence, they're losing players to silly decisions, and I know part of that's on him. Correct. So that's where I'm talking about. Is there going to be a drop off? Is there going to be like a little bit of a? I think this year could be their year. I think most of the fans felt that way.
Odegaard's
injury is a big miss as well. Yeah, so, but like you said, I think it's a good enough team that they should recover and potentially close the low 5-point deficit that they have. But again, if City and Liverpool's form, and Liverpool have a very tough run of fixtures right now, actually, as we're speaking. But if Liverpool and City's form, I think Liverpool and City play at the December 1st. I think if we get to that December 1st game at Liverpool and City, don't drop any points between now and then in the league. I think it means that Arsenal have to have a 5-point deficit already. You got to remain at least, got to keep on matching.
So basically, Arsenal has to do something that they're not accustomed to. Go on like one of those streaks, like City. To have a chance. I think
it's early already, but I think another draw or bad result. I think they're playing Newcastle on Saturday, and that's a tough fixture. That's not going to be easy away from home as well. That has been a game that has given Arsenal challenges in the past.
I see Arsenal beat Newcastle. I think Eddie Hill's job in Japanese. I honestly think so.
Potentially. But yeah, so you're tipping Liverpool for title. At this point in time, I'm still tipping City, but I'm hoping that Liverpool wins. Interesting that none of us are picking Arsenal.
I think it's going to be close though. I just think last year it was with 5 points.
Me?
City. I think City won with 3 points last year.
Yeah, 5 points to Arsenal. Yeah.
I think it could be.
Was it 5 points to Arsenal or 2? No, I think it was 2. I think it was 2. Yeah. It was
season 2. In front.
Yeah, season in front. City, yeah, by 5. But I think the last year was 2. Yeah.
I think it could be single digit numbers of games. I think it's pretty close, but I think Liverpool. I think it's going to be closer between the gap of City and Liverpool, and including Arsenal. So I think I take Liverpool, and I think, as I said, Chelsea could be 4th, 5th between Tottenham, Chelsea, and Villa for that 4th, 5th spot.
Okay, I tend to agree. and I agree. And I'm particularly hoping that you're correct in terms of the title prediction, because then it means that I can celebrate. But our final topic on the agenda tonight is the Ballon d'Or, which was announced yesterday, and Rodri from Manchester City and Spain won the award. For you, was Rodri a deserving winner?
I didn't expect him to win, but I think he's a deserving.
Okay.
I actually thought Vinicius was going to get it.
Likewise, I actually, going into the, before Monday, I actually fancied Vinicius to get it. I actually didn't think that Rodri would. I don't understand Rodri being a top 3 finisher. I actually didn't have Rodri. Did I have Rodri as runner-up? Because sometimes I know that sometimes these awards about the performances over the course of a season. But if I talk about ability-wise, I'm thinking the top 2 players in the world are Mbappe and Vinicius. I'm also including. I think Ballon had a very good season that first season at Real Madrid as well. Yeah, so I'm not necessarily thinking about Rodri in the sense of I know he's very. What I can say about him is that I know he's very crucial and essential rather, to City and Spain, and he only lost 1 game. I think in the whole of last season. So, in terms of the teams that he's been a part of, which is impressive to say the least. But I still would have fancied Vinicius. Because Vinicius had an exceptional year performance-wise last year for Real Madrid. I would have still fancied Vinicius. But in terms of Rodri, I mean, it's not normal for that too. But it's not normal for a defensive player to win. Because you don't often see a centre back or a defender winning a Ballon d'Or. I think this, in my lifetime, I think this is the second time. Well, no. So I think Cannavaro has been the last centre back that won the Ballon d'Or. And in terms of this profile of midfielder, because Rodri is a holding midfielder, I think we've had midfielders who won, like Modric, for example, who are more creative types. So it's a bit unusual in that respect. And when you consider that he's being a forward to the prize, again, it's unusual. And some people in some quarters, because when you think about football, we've always been taught that the most important thing, the most valuable commodity is goals. And for a guy, who he scored a couple key goals, yes, but for a guy whose main priority is to break up the play and facilitate goals happening as opposed to score them himself, that's interesting that he won.
I think he's a top player, though. I mean,
yeah,
I can't discount that. I mean, as you said, it's not usual for that type of player to be in the reckoning. But I think to me, he's changing the dynamic in terms of that role. Because not only you could say that he's a specialist, but his performances have been so key to the way how City plays and controls the tempo and the dynamic of the game. That you can see when he isn't present, you can see a visible change in performance or structure for how Manchester City plays. Not saying they can't play without him, but you can see a visible change when he isn't on the playing field.
True. But what's really the talking point? Well, 2 talking points that we can get to. I think we have enough time for it. But we'll start with this one first. Real Madrid, they won Team of the Year. I think Ancelotti also won Coach of the Year. But no Real Madrid representative was at the award ceremony. Reportedly in protest because Vinicius didn't get a trophy. What are your takes on? What's your take on that?
I do it in poor taste, but a club like Real Madrid was usually expected to not only be in the conversation, but to take the plaudits. But it was quite surprising to read the headline, but I do it in poor taste, and I really expected better. But it's Real Madrid, so I don't know what to add.
I follow. And I also share that sentiment. It's a bit bizarre to me. I mean, it can't be the first time in Ballon d'Or history that a player whose fantasy didn't get a trophy, and is disappointed. So I understand why Vinicius is disappointed, because we both said that we fancied him to get before the award ceremony, but for the whole club to decide, well, we're sending a boy, you know what I mean, over there is a bit strange, and like you said, important, and I don't know if it reflects. I don't think it reflects good on the culture, or the image rather, the image of Real Madrid. Because I mean, it's not. I would like to imagine. I know that sometimes it's a subjective word, but I know that sometimes these things you feel a little bit hard done by.
Bizarre is a good word to use, but with the reputation of the team and say the coach, I don't think they're going to lament on it too long, even though they should.
Yeah.
But I don't think they're going to lament on that part too much longer. But I feel the importance.
Yeah. But it seems like Vinicius, from the messages that we're getting, he's already preparing, to really rip it up this year as a result. He let his football do talking, and I guess we're in for some great performances again. No, the next thing that I want to touch on, sticking with the Ballon d'Or, I believe that this is the first time in about well over a decade, because I can't remember the exact number, that both Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi haven't been in the conversation as best player in the world. Now, those two would have really dominated this award over the last decade plus. Do you think that there's a chance that we will see a similar rivalry over the next decade, or a similar situation where a nucleus of maybe 1, 2, 3 players dominate the conversation for the Ballon d'Or?
The thing about that is when you look at the two of them, they were already rivals based on the two teams they played for. But you could argue they became rivals because that it was a tit for tat of who should win over that span of time, and their numbers, they put up ridiculous numbers for the positions that they played respectively. But in terms of another decade of seeing two players become icons and two brands built around two players or two top caliber teams, I find it hard to be repeated anything soon or ever again, because say we would like about the two individuals, they changed how you look at forwards in terms of expecting those big numbers in terms of performance and goals. In terms of fitness, in terms of playing regularity, there's two players who withstood the test of time, and you can't. They ensured responsibility. They were always there and always perform at a high level for the better part of a decade. So I think they're two great football examples. They're two great contributors to the legacy of the game. And I think that in terms of building your brand and how social media, I think, influence players and this generation, I think they kind of set a new standard for football in terms of fitness and performance.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think, like you said, I don't think we'll see another rivalry like that in the near future. But obviously, in terms of who could potentially be the usual names that we see on the top of the podium, there are some that come to mind. You think of Vinicius, you think of Mbappe, you think of Ballon. Funny enough, all three play for the same club. So I know how that will work. Erling Haaland might potentially come in conversation as well. And then you have the emergence of some younger players like Lamar, for example, who again was fully deserving of the Young Player award as well, the Copa Trophy. So, but yeah, what you said about Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo, me personally, from a aesthetic viewpoint, I said before, Messi was obviously my preference in terms of player, quality of player. He can do things with the football that I think the normal human being, even at the professional level, can't do. But CR again is a wonderful professional, high performer, has great numbers as well, and definitely, because of the numbers, put himself in the conversation. But what those two have been able to do in terms of the longevity at that level, and like you said, building a brand, social media profile and stuff like that, I think is, unique. Yes, and sets them apart, exactly. Definitely puts a clear difference in terms of the other players that have been in football history. But yeah, so yeah, I agree with pretty much what you said about those two players, what you said about Real Madrid, and I don't want to jinx it, but hopefully you're right about Liverpool as well in terms of that title battle. I thought, and again we'll see how it goes with Man United and this Ruben Amorin new appointment as well. So it's been a wonderful discussion for me. Thank you for coming on. I hope that this will be the first of many, right? Yeah. So I hope to see you back on again.
I hope my presence can boost the numbers.
Yeah. Numbers are important. I don't want something Ronaldo. Numbers are important. So fans, viewers rather, please share and subscribe. But again, we do it because we love it and not necessarily for numbers. But if that definitely does help. So once again, thank you for joining us. We do want to thank our sponsors at Spirit Relay Studios and World Health Pharmacy for again sponsoring the show, helping us to play on. You can follow me at Drew9106 and you can follow me at
Kwame.Paris, that's KWAME.PARRIS.
Yes, and you can also follow the Dugout Podcast at the Dugout_podcast. And again, if you like this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And we'll be back with you again very soon with another episode. Thank you, Kwame, for joining us this evening, man.